Today, I'm asking, are you a suck up or a servant? Fearful or free? Guilty or giving? Hi, I'm Dr. Lisa Ryan. Psychiatry is my field, and your well being is my absolute passion. Sometimes well being seems elusive. We suffer in this world, and there is nothing funny or lightweight about it. But we suffer less when we think with awareness that goes beyond our own limited experience of life. That's where education can help. Today we'll explore the invisible lines between being considerate versus codependent, and between codependent versus interdependent. The behaviors can look the same, but the results, especially for the giver, can be very different. It's important to figure out what motivates our behavior toward others, especially people we are having frequent contact with, like those at work or significant others. It is perfect to be considerate, selfless, and loyal. Kindness is great too, but only if that behavior is generated from a healthy mindset. Let's explore. If you took a little quiz and were asked to tell me the difference between considerate and codependent behavior, could you? How about between codependent and interdependent? These aren't distinctions we make without really thinking about it. Getting specific is important because basically codependence is harmful, while consideration and interdependence are desirable and beneficial. I hear the term codependent thrown around a lot these days. What is its real meaning? We need definitions. Codependence occurs when a person needs approval so much that they often sacrifice their own needs and well-being because their focus is so strongly on someone else. This is called unhealthy attachment. It results in behaviors to try to please the other so much that necessary self-care is no longer first priority. Characteristics of codependency include loss of identity as an individual who can make decisions independently, compulsively trying to rescue or fix others while ignoring personal needs, desires, and self-care. Feeling responsible for another's problems, which is referred to as having poor boundaries. Another thing is an inability to say no, an excessive need to please, or great fear of being abandoned. Feeling self-worth only when the other is pleased with them. Codependency is a learned behavior that can pass from one generation to another. You may be codependent if you were from or are in a family with someone who has an addiction or is chronically ill, or if you feel you must manage or rescue your significant other, or if you are a caregiver who is not taking good care of yourself. Codependence gradually eats at our self-worth until it's non-existent. But you may say, isn't it considerate to think of another more than ourselves? Well, yes and no. It depends on all the circumstances. I was recently on a long trip where there were a lot of people in tourist areas. I observed over and over again a lack of awareness of others. People lit their cigarettes wherever, needlessly stood in walkways where people were repeatedly trying to get around them, or were very loud when they were sharing space with others. Considering others, or being considerate, is a wonderful thing. Considerate means being careful not to cause inconvenience or harm to others. If the whole world was full of only considerate people, we would like it a lot. We can't be considerate for others, but we can certainly model the behavior by showing our own careful thought on behalf of others. We can't forget to do this, or we're not passing forward something that we want ourselves. Remember, your small act of consideration shows big love. It helps define you and build your self-esteem. Keep it up. Some countries have a culture of consideration, and it's beautiful. Wherever we live, we can only have that one person at a time, starting with ourselves. An empowered mind desires this and knows that small acts of kindness wield a powerful impact. Striving to be considerate is very good, but it doesn't mean having ourselves left out of consideration. When we are considerate, we will please others, but we do it because it's right, not because we need approval or fear rejection. When we go above and beyond for someone else, as long as we are still caring for ourselves over time, then we are doing something very good. All right, so what is interdependence and why is that good? Interdependence is a mutual reliance between two or more people where each depends on the other for well-being and success. It's the opposite of being completely independent. All involved show consideration. We depend on these people for truth, kindness, and emotional or physical support. The key word in the definition of interdependence is mutual. Mutual independence is necessary for couples, nations, businesses, and living organisms in an ecosystem. We are all interdependent to some degree or another. If, however, we are dependent on another for constant validation or approval, then we are out of balance. The other, or others, should be sharing the weight and supporting us too. If you're in a situation where the other truly cannot participate, such as when my mom was dying and all the giving had to be one way, then know that asking for help is right and what you're doing is simply loving. If your loved one, however, was dying and, say, verbally abusing you because they chose to treat you that way, then it may be your perfect opportunity to find your self-compassion and say no, or stop, or get someone else to take your place. Whatever the situation, it is always our job to take care of our own physical and mental well-being. This is being an adult. We choose how we live. In extreme situations where no one is doing wrong, such as caring for someone who had dementia, we may be stretched a lot, but this should never be a continuous situation. We have to love and care for ourselves enough to get rest and find support. So many people say no when others are trying to help. If that's you, really think hard about that. The whole point of this video is that more consideration is needed in this world. But any good thing can be taken too far. If you know that you are in a codependent situation, then communicate and work to free yourself of your old habits that are out of balance. If you aren't sure about your boundaries, ask someone who cares about you and knows your situation if you go too far. Or if you already know that you do, then do the work of finding support. Only you decide what you will and won't do. You can figure out how to help yourself. Resources are available, and you owe it to yourself and those you love to maintain your own health. No matter what someone else may be saying to you, your heart will tell you when something is way out of balance or wrong. Be brave and listen. For the rest of us, we will serve the world and ourselves better if we keep our eyes and hearts open to how we can consider others more. If your neighbor complains about something at your house, instead of getting defensive and griping to all your other neighbors, ask yourself what you can do to be considerate. So many little things like that will not matter when we are on our deathbeds. This life goes by quickly. If we want people to care about us and our needs, we certainly must do the same for them. We are up to the task. We don't always get back from an individual what we would like, but when we give consideration generously, the world and God have a great way of taking care of us. Here's a quote from the Dalai Lama. Be kind whenever possible, or we could say be considerate whenever possible. It's always possible. Love to you and have a beautiful rest of the day.